You know what would make this world a better place? Another Pickleball podcast. Hey there, Pickleballers. Welcome to the Pickle Fit Podcast, the show that helps you get stronger, more mobile, and injury-proof so you can master the pickleball court. I'm your host, Coach Kevin. I'm a healthy aging expert, a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, and each week we'll dive into simple, actionable tips on strength training, mobility, and nutrition to level up your game and keep you playing at your best, no matter your age or level. So grab your paddle, lace up those sneakers, and let's get Pickle Fit. Today I've got a special episode for you that's going to be a game changer for anyone who wants to keep their knees healthy and strong while playing the sport we love. My guest today is none other than the knee whisperer herself, Laurie Kertz. Laurie is a physical therapist and a knee health expert who's helped countless people, both athletes and everyday folks, get rid of knee pain and stay active for life. So whether you're dealing with creaky knees or just want to make sure your knees stay bulletproof, Laurie's got some incredible insights for you. We're going to dive deep into knee health today, specifically how you can prevent knee injuries while playing pickleball. You'll learn some simple exercises to strengthen your knees, tips for warming up properly, and how to keep your joints healthy so you can enjoy this game for years to come. So without further ado, let's meet Laurie. Laurie, welcome to the Pickle Fit Podcast.
Coach Kevin, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I am so excited to have you on here. We're going to talk about knees. We're going to talk about knees. We're going to talk about pickleball, all kinds of fun stuff. So first, let's just let the audience know that you and I know each other. You're a guest on my other podcast, the Over 50 Health and Wellness Podcast. That was an amazing episode, right?
Yeah.
We talked about general knee health and how to take care of your knees. Basically an owner's guide for those of us over 50 with knees, which is all of us over 50. So I got to fill you in on what's happened since you and I last talked, because that was a while ago.
It was about a year ago. Yeah.
At least a year, probably.
Right.
So earlier this summer, my daughter, who's 21, said, "Dad, we got to play pickleball." And I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of sort of know what that is. During COVID, I saw them on the tennis courts, tickety, those senior citizens. And I was like, that's kind of weird. My daughter wants to play it. And she kept after me. And so finally I was like, oh, okay, yes, we can go play pickleball. I went on Amazon for $30. I got 2 paddles. I got 4 balls.
Exactly.
I got a little wipe my off my head while I play pickleball. And a little furry. I mean, that was value, right? And so she and I went to the local park just down the road here without any idea of what pickleball was, the rules, how to, nothing. We just went and played back and forth on a pickleball thing, and I had a blast.
Yeah.
We both madly in love. And I had in my mind this preconceived notion that this was something that retired, old, out of shape people play. That's all. That's all there was to pickleball. But it turns out there's a whole lot. I mean, there's professional leagues, there's professional teams. The majority of people playing pickleball now are actually young people, not senior citizens the way I thought. So at any rate, long-winded way of saying I fell down the pickleball hole. So that's where I am right now. I'm still in that phase of I might go pro. So Laurie, you can say I knew that dude before he went pro, right?
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, right on. So I'm really excited. I'm having so much fun. I joined here locally. There's a beautiful facility. It's called House of Pickleball right down the road from me in Leland, North Carolina. And it's this nice indoor facility with 12 beautiful courts. I play there all the time. And it's kind of funny. I play there very often on weekdays during the daytime. So I do play with a lot of senior citizens because it's entrepreneurs and retirees who go and play at 10 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays. But I'm having a blast. Absolutely having a blast.
Great. So, it's really everywhere. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I walk by the East Side Pickleball Club, and then there's an outdoor club that's in the other direction that I drive by frequently.
Yep.
I've enjoyed getting out on the pickleball courts.
I was going to say, have you played?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Fun. Yeah. Recreationally. I don't know if I have a plan to go pro.
Okay. You don't have a plan to go pro, but it's kind of my style to grab a hold of something and go 110%. So we'll see. Sure. I've got a long ways to go. I'm telling you right now, I will go and play with some 70 and even 80-year-olds who just absolutely school me. Well, I'm way more fit, way more mobile. I'm way faster than those guys. I move better. But boy, oh boy, if you've got the skill and the strategy of that game, that can go a long way. So lots of fun there. But hey, this podcast is all about helping people become stronger, fitter, more mobile, more injury-proof pickleball players, because that's my area of expertise. I'm not going to help anybody on the skill of pickleball, but certainly I can help them with nutrition information and workout information, stuff like that, right? So that's my wheelhouse. And when I first started this project, I was telling you before we started recording here, you were the first person that came into my mind. It's like, who was a guest on my other podcast, the Over 50 Health and Wellness show, that I could get on this show that would add some value? And you were the first person I thought of. And then funny enough, that week, or maybe it was the next week, you sent out an email that said something to the effects of, hey, if you want to play pickleball, you better take care of your knees.
Right.
So before we dive into the pickleball, over 50 pickleball owners knee guide, because that's what we're going to do here today, why don't you back up and tell people a little bit about you, a little bit about your specialty, and kind of how you got here. Why are you the knee specialist? Why knees?
Sure. So I had my own knee pain. it's been over a decade now, maybe closer to 2 decades ago now, where I have my own knee pain. And the approach that is used in the traditional conventional medical model is strengthen your muscles to take pressure off of your knees. And that wasn't working for me. I'm also a physical therapist, and it wasn't working for all of my clients. So sometimes it works for people. They can
Hmm.
strengthen their core and strengthen their hips, and lo and behold, their knees feel better. So
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
fabulous. But in other cases, strengthening the muscles doesn't take enough pressure off of the knees to make the knees feel good. So I met my now friend and colleague, Dr. Doug Kelsey. He's written a number of books, including the 90-day knee arthritis remedy. And together we created the Better Knees method. And it's a 3-phase method where people can go from whatever level of strength and health that their knees are at and build stronger and healthier knees.
Love it. Yeah. Stronger, healthier knees. I think everybody listening would like that. Okay. So in your practice with this better knee method, is there an avatar of your typical client? Are they typically older? Are they younger? They range all ages? Are they typically people who are fit and getting sports injuries? Are they typically people who are deconditioned and just have wanky knees? Who are the people that are reaching out to you?
There's a combination. So some people are reaching out because they used to be really active and
Mm,
they're trying to be really active again. And there's been
yeah.
this kind of break. Maybe it's career related, maybe it's caregiver related, parenting or whatnot, but there's been a season in their life where they haven't been quite as active, and now they're ready, and their brain is ready to pick up exactly where they left
Yeah.
off, and their body, particularly their knees, are not quite there yet. And so they're looking to, get stronger, healthier knees so that they can enjoy whatever it is. Pickleball being one example, but it may be
Hmm.
hiking or it may be gardening. And so that's
Yeah.
one group that works with me.
Yeah.
Another group is, been active and been fit and so forth, but they've added something. It might be they're like, you know what? I'm going to train for a marathon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
boom, they're training in that
Yeah.
area like triples or quadruples. And this
Hmm.
can happen to people who get the pickleball bug too, right?
Sure.
It's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And I've got these friends I can meet up with. And all of a sudden, not only am I doing it just every once in a while, but it's 3 times a week.
Yeah. 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 So, it's kind of pickleball gets a bit of a bad rap in the general press because of the injuries. There's a
Mhm.
ton of injuries, and what was the statistic? It's like 80% of them are people over 50. And while there's nothing inherently dangerous about the sport of pickleball, right? I mean, it's a compressed tennis court, basically. To your point, we have people, especially in this older demographic, and especially in the retiree demographic, maybe pick this up. What they're finding is they're going out and they're saying, hey, the barrier to entry to play pickleball is very low. You don't have to be particularly spry, healthy, mobile, strong. You don't have to have any of that. You have to just basically have a little bit of equipment and be willing. And it's so much fun, to your point. But I think what we see then is we have these people that perhaps have been sedentary, or maybe not even sedentary. Maybe they have a good walking practice, or maybe they're golfers. Maybe they have some other physical activities. But all of a sudden now we have them moving explosively laterally. We have them backpedaling very quickly. We have
Yes.
them in this like Cossack squat stance sort of thing, right? And all of a
Right.
sudden we have
Right.
a recipe for potential injuries. So with that as the backdrop, I want to start here. Let's take the person who's a beginner and maybe they just have standard 50, 60, 70-year-old knees, which is to say maybe they are a little like Rice Krispies, a little snap, crackle, and pop when they wake up in the morning. But for the most part, they're not yet to the place where they have knee pain. What's our prescription for this person who's now going to start playing pickleball and trying to advance and get better at playing pickleball? What are we going to tell that person, him or her, to really do preventively to take care of their knees to ensure that they don't end up to be a statistic with some sort of knee injury?
Sure. So if I had one thing to choose, I would recommend, I'm going to use the medical term and then I'll break it down, but isometric quadriceps exercise.
Mm,
So muscles on the front of the thighs, by turning those on in a way that you're not moving your knee, but just engaging the muscle, that has been shown in the research to thicken fluid inside the knees. So if your knees are kind of creaky or cracking or popping, crepitus is the medical term for that.
crepitus, yeah, yeah.
If that's what's happening, then you likely need thicker fluid. The consistency, healthy fluid inside your knees is the consistency of egg whites. And that's
Hmm.
going to provide better lubrication, better shock absorption, and protect your knees a little bit better.
Gotcha. So isometric quad contraction. Am I doing this with a 90 degree? Am I doing this seated? Am I doing this with my legs straight out? Am
I
I
would
elevating?
Yeah, I would start with the legs straight out. So you could be in the couch on the couch in the evening or on your bed, any flat surface where your legs can be straight and comfortable. Oftentimes, I'll have people use one or more towel rolls, like sometimes 4 to 8 inches in diameter, to put underneath their knees if there's any discomfort. If there's not any discomfort, the towel roll isn't absolutely necessary. But if you're not really sure, it feels a little bit better with the towel roll, it's better to have the towel roll.
All right. And so am I going to do this for like 3 sets of 20? Am I going to hold it for 5 seconds at a time? Is it better to do one long hold? What are we looking
I
for there?
recommend people start with a 5-second holds and then relax. Relax everything before you turn it back on. And it needs to feel comfortable. There shouldn't be anything,
Not a no
uncomfortable.
pain, no gain situation,
It
right?
absolutely not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It should feel either good or neutral. And
Yes.
if it does, doing it 10 or 20 times in a row is wonderful. If this is someone who really isn't having a lot of pain or problems, but just wants a preventative, it'd be great to do a set of 20 before going to play
Mm.
pickleball and a set of 20 when you get home from pickleball.
Fantastic. Okay, that's really good advice. Okay, so folks, there's some good prehab preventative tips for you. Now, I will say this: pickleballers. Well, this is my very limited experience of pickleball, but I play in several outdoor parks. I play in a pickleball facility. I never see people warm up. And like I said, when I go to the facility during the weekdays, it's not the youngins in there crushing it who can get away with not warming up. I'm the young guy. I'm 60, and I'm the young. Hey, here comes the young guy.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I'm playing with a bunch of 70. Some, like I said, some of them are 80-year-olds, and they don't warm up. So their warm up is typically dinking back and forth across the net, and that's their warm up, and they start play. And to me, that's a little bit horrifying. As a personal trainer, I would never have somebody load up a barbell and start lifting without doing some sort of warm up. So, other than that exercise you just gave us, kind of that preventative knee maintenance movement, are there things that you would recommend people do before they step on the court and start actually playing from a warm up perspective?
Yes, yes. Some of it could be, if you park far enough away, a walk in is
Sure.
at
Yeah.
least an initial kind of movement. But I think it's important to kind of warm up your body in different directions. And
Hmm.
that might look like if you're standing at a park, right? There may be a street poster or some sort of sign or something that you can hold on to, or even if someone isn't already playing on the court, even like just balancing and touching for balance, the edge of the net,
Hmm.
the post, and swinging one leg side to side. Just kind of
Yeah.
activating a dynamic warm up to activate kind of the muscles throughout your trunk and in your hip.
Yeah, so I love that, and I've got a couple of YouTube videos that I've shared with this audience before. One of them's the warm up I do before I ever leave the house. So I have a very specific trunk, spine, core warm up movement sequence that I do, and then when I'm at the court, it's more of a dynamic. I want my heart rate to get up a little bit. I'm doing the high knees, I'm doing the butt kicks, I'm doing the karaoke, so I'm kind of that side to side. I'll do a couple of the Cossack lunges, things like that, just so that I'm not walking out there cold. And
Yes.
God bless them all. I mean, that's how the majority of the folks that I've been exposed to, young and old alike, are approaching pickleball. As they get on the court, they tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Yeah, I'm warmed up. Let's go.
Right, right.
It's like, okay, all right. So maybe something a little bit more than that. Now, I'm not a knee specialist, but I own a pair of knees. But I've got some things in my mind that are my go-to when my knees are feeling a little off, or a little wanky, a little wonky. One of my favorite things to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a couple of these past you. You tell me yay or nay. Is this really helping, or is it kind of in my head? Walking backwards is one of my favorite things for knees. Is that really a thing?
Yes,
Or not so much? Is it?
it
Okay,
is.
all right. So
It
I'm
is.
one for one. Let's go.
It
Why is it?
it's
Yeah.
been popularized by the knees over toes guy.
That's
And
probably where I saw it then, because yeah, I
yeah,
felt like that's
yeah.
content. All right,
And
probably
he
did see
just
it there
kind of
originally.
stumbled upon it. Like he doesn't have the science background for
Uh-huh.
why it works, but it does work oftentimes because you're moving the knees and kind of lubricating things with less force on the joint when you're walking backward.
Okay, so yeah, less force on your joints when you're walking backwards kind of makes sense. So kind of a gentler movement to get things moving in that knee. What about another one of my go-tos, tibialis raises? You know what I'm talking about? You have
I
your legs
do.
straight, you're
I
kind
do.
of
Yeah.
bringing your toes up. Yeah,
Right,
is it
right. So you could be standing without any support or a lot of times like leaning against a
leaning
wall.
against something is how I usually do it.
Right,
Yeah,
right. It's a
yeah.
little precarious to do it without some sort of balance. But yeah,
Hmm.
if you're standing at home or you can stand in a parking lot with your back against your car if you have a,
Hmm.
vehicle there, and by standing and supporting your upper body, lifting your toes, your forefeet up off the floor, you will feel this. The muscle that you're primarily using is on the front of your shins. Like you said, they're known as
Yeah.
tibialis anterior raises. And while that's fine, the benefit for your knees is that it's kind of a backdoor option for turning on your quads. So if the next time you do this, or if your listeners are
I'm doing it right now while you're talking to me. I'm just
okay,
kind of
okay.
okay. Yeah, no, I can see what you're saying. Yes, yeah.
If you lift your toes up, the muscles that are doing that action are the front of your shins, but
Mm-hmm.
the front of your thighs will kind of turn on a little bit. And that has
Mm-hmm.
that same benefit without needing to kind of sit down with your legs supported as the quad set. So that it's essentially a subtle isometric exercise or a tightening of the muscles on the front of your thighs, which then again, that's not to say, oh, that's good for your quad muscles. It's really good for your knees because doing that has the effect of improving the fluid inside your knees.
Gotcha. Okay. Those are kind of, I've been blessed, knock on wood, with pretty steady knees. I've not really had a whole lot of knee pain. But those are two things that are kind of my go-to. If I start to feel like, I'm feeling like kind of a little creaky, I have maybe a heavy squat day or something, knees are not liking it. I typically do those as sort of a restorative type movements kind of thing. Now, I want to get your take on a couple other things. Seems like hot and cold are all the rage right now with all the cold plunging and sauna and all that good stuff. Obviously, famously, any joint that's been hurt ever, you're gonna elevate it and put ice on it, right? Is cold, is icing your knees, is there a benefit for people to do that either preventatively or in any specific cases? When would you or would you not use, say, cold or ice on your knees?
Great question. There are some people that really like ice, and
Mhm.
there's rarely a situation where if someone likes how it feels that I would discourage that.
Okay.
Now, that being said, it's not going to improve the inside of your knees. The cold sensation isn't really
Is it
reaching
numbing?
the
Is
internal
that what
part
it's
of your
doing?
knees.
Yeah, right. So you're kind of numbing that outer part of the knee, and maybe that's what people are
And sometimes that's
feeling.
enough to interrupt some pain signals and just kind of give some people relief.
Hmm.
I'd so much prefer for people to do that than to be popping Advil or
Sure.
ibuprofen or
Yeah.
even a
Yep.
prescription anti-inflammatory. It's
Yep.
so much safer. So I would say that's fine to do. Now, if someone has maybe maybe it's not super severe, but just some general stiffness or achiness. Maybe it's worse, especially first thing in the morning before they start moving around more than 20 or 30 minutes, and then it kind of gets better. If that's going on, they will likely feel more benefits by using heat. So that might be a heating pad, and that warmth may feel better to them. But likewise, kind of the similar situation, heat is not going to improve the quality of the inside of their knees.
Right. So in other words, we're treating a symptom here. We're not actually curing, quote unquote, curing anything, right? There's especially in the case of chronic knee pain. So that's where I want to go next. So I was playing pickleball earlier today, as a matter of fact, and you would love the lady I was playing with. She was, I'm going to guess her probably late 60s, probably in her 70s, and she is a complete and total badass. So she was my partner,
Uh-huh.
and her mobility was amazing. I mean, she was in these wide sumo stances, ass to grass squat, and getting these balls. I mean, she's just really good, a very skilled player, but her mobility is just breathtaking.
Okay.
Especially
Okay.
for, you just don't see that very
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
in the senior population. And the guy across from us made the comment a couple of times. He said, "You are making my knees hurt just watching you."
Right.
He said, and he was a decent player, but he hinged at the hips for every single shot down. His knees
Oh,
had
yeah.
this much movement, and that's it. He said, "Yeah, my knees hurt all the time."
Mm.
And what would you? I mean, this is a tough, tough one to throw at you. All I've described is this dude says he has knee pain, but somebody who's just kind of got that poor mobility in his knees watches somebody squat the way a human should be able to squat, and feels like that's way out of out of the realm of possibility for me. What would we tell that guy to get him to where he too could do a basic primal movement like a squat and do it pain free?
Great question. So I'm going to start by saying what I wouldn't recommend for him.
Okay.
So I wouldn't recommend someone in that situation where he's avoiding bending his knees on the pickleball court, right?
Yep.
Because that probably will bother his knees while he's doing it or later that night or
Or
maybe
later
the
the day.
next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't need to go to the gym, hold a kettlebell or load up a barbell and start doing
Mm.
squats.
Dang it, because that's my go-to. But
And
go
that
ahead.
might be the good go-to for you. But
Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, I'm joking, but yes, yeah.
I mean, if
That
your knees are strong enough to do it,
sure. Then you should. But
then
yes,
keep doing it.
I'm
Keep
with you.
doing it.
Yes,
But
yeah.
if
This guy's not ready
not,
to load up a barbell yet. Yep.
yeah, if not, then we need to start with exercise that moves his knees in that bent position without as much pressure on them. So that
Hmm.
might mean I would kind of be curious, like, what does he do the rest of his day? Is he sitting a lot? Because most of us are, right?
Yeah, I would guess that's the case. Yeah, I
And
don't know,
if you're
but yeah.
sitting a lot, your knees are just still. Well, can you get a furniture mover, a furniture slider, put it on the floor, whether that's by the computer or by the couch or wherever it is that you're sitting, or maybe they come in packs of 4, so put them different places. I would have him rest his foot on that furniture slider and just gently move his foot away from him to straighten his knee and back toward him to bend his knee in whatever range he has that feels comfortable. And he might do that for three minutes. You can multitask. You can be on the phone. You could
Sure.
probably be
Yeah.
responding to an email or watching something on the screen and do this at the same time. So if you do this 3 minutes, 3 times a day, you could do more. If he started with that, that would start to lubricate his knees so that he's not just moving, bending and straightening his knees when he gets up out of the chair and sits back down. So
Yeah.
more volume when the load and the motion is a lower effort. So I would start with lower effort knee motion and a larger volume. And then that needs to eventually, there's a lot of intermediate steps, but that needs to eventually move to, can he bend his knees more when he's standing upright? Which gets
Gotcha.
to the squats or the
It's to the
lunges
squat
or
position.
that
Yeah.
type of thing. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So if I have that straight, maybe I'm sitting on a little office chair. If I came to the edge of it and I had one of those furniture mover thingies there, I could just be sitting here while I'm talking to you, sliding my foot back and forth. And if I start with 3 minutes of that while I'm doing something else, and then do that 2, 3 times a day, that'd be a fantastic way for somebody to start. Yeah, no, I like that. So that's a very light load, high volume sort of a thing. And what's happening? Why is that good? Because we're not doing we're not building type 2 muscle mass there. Am I just pumping some more blood into that knee? What's the restorative piece of the magic that's going on there?
The magic is happening because the movement in that low load position or the low load type of movement is going to kind of massage the surfaces inside your knees.
Mm.
So it's not even really bringing blood flow to the area. You might have a little bit of increase of blood flow in the muscles in your leg, even though it's not hard for those muscles to do this, the type of exercise, but the movement is massaging the layers of the surfaces inside your knees. And those surfaces are the top portion of that surface is on the end of the thigh bone, the top of the shin bone, and the back side of the kneecap. Those are all cartilage surfaces. And
Right.
cartilage is made of the cartilage cells and water molecules. And the stronger your cartilage is, the better the chemical bonds are, but the stronger those chemical bonds are between cartilage cells and water molecules. So we want to kind of massage them very gently in the beginning, and
Mm-hmm.
then putting gradually more and more cumulative amount of massaging, and then upgrading to, now it's not
Adding
just
some
a
load.
gentle
Yeah.
massage, but now there's a
Right.
little more force behind it.
Some resistance. Okay. And the idea there is, are we actually making that cartilage stronger in there?
Yes.
We're improving the quality of that.
We're
Okay.
improving the quality of
Gotcha.
cartilage. And that's one of the things that I think that people aren't told. And
Mm.
if you go in and see your doctor because you've had some achy knees and they take x-rays, it's a lot of people are going to there's on most x-rays, it's not uncommon to see
Yeah.
some what they call wear and tear. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily mean you should be having symptoms. And you can improve your cartilage, the quality of your cartilage, the strength of what amount of cartilage that you have in there. Even with some wear and tear, you can improve that quality so that your knees feel good, regardless of your x-rays maybe not looking like they did when you were 18.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah, I think that you're right. That probably doesn't get a whole lot of press, the cartilage. In this age demographic, we hear a lot about osteopenia, osteoporosis. So I think that we are specifically, as we're aging, concerned with bone density, bone health, and stronger bones. And certainly getting strong is one way. Anytime you are increasing muscle mass, you are increasing bone density. That's helpful. But we don't give enough love to the tendons and to the cartilage and these other pliable pieces of our joints. And that's one of the things that to me is just disheartening as I see people coming into their, mostly into their 60s and 70s and 80s, and there's this gradual decline of their joints, whether it's typically shoulders, knees, of course, back is the classic one as well. But yeah, we see these people classically with just, I got these creaky knees, I got these bad knees, my knees chronically hurt, and Lord knows there's a whole industry around replacing knees, right? For some people, and that's that's obviously one option, a pretty extreme option, right? So, yeah, let's go there. I did want to ask your opinion about this. when is somebody a candidate from, I got creaky knees or I got sore damn knees all the time? When do they go from that to, hey, let's do some physical therapy type things here for you, to you might be a good candidate for a knee replacement? Is it just a quality of life thing? Are there certain, if you're degraded past a certain point, you're past the point of no return, when should somebody maybe think about that as an option?
So if someone, it's a tough question,
Mm,
because the X-rays don't tell the whole story, and so I would
mm,
not recommend making that decision based on X-rays. I've had a number of people clients who've worked with me that said, my doctor said I was ready for a knee replacement, but I didn't really hurt that bad. They were
yeah,
still walking without a limp, without needing any
assistance or
assistance or
yeah,
that type of
yeah.
thing. What I would recommend that someone do, and it's always better to do this. Usually, I find that people are told, "Well, you know what? You're probably going to need a knee replacement," and so it may be 5 years from now and whatnot. That's the time. That is the time to do
Jump on it.
to do something
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. They need to reach out to you at that point, right? Before the next 5 years go by.
Or doing
Yeah.
something at that point
Do
is
something.
gonna be
Yeah.
a lot more successful. I work with people who also are like, "No, I wanna avoid this at all
Hmm.
costs." And that I really respect that and I support that, because knee replacements are not just an immediate panacea from all the
Right.
symptoms. There was some research that came out in 2018 that 20% of people following, 6 months after they've had their knee replacement still had chronic pain. So a
Mm,
knee replacement doesn't just wipe that slate clean. So what would they do? What they wouldn't want to do is just, again, go after their muscles and and
right.
and build stronger muscles. So I think of this as like, okay, if you were building your dream home and it was two flights, right? You need to have a really strong foundation, you need to have a strong first floor, and then you're going to build the second floor. So the foundation for our knees is the inside of our knees. And this is essentially the healthy fluid inside our knees and healthy surfaces inside our knees, so cartilage. Once that foundation is set, and once you address that, then move to the tendons and make sure those are strong. So
Hmm.
tendons are what tie our muscles to the bone. You have a tendon right underneath your kneecap, the patellar tendon. It needs to be strong, and it's going to get it. It can take a little bit more force than, say, your cartilage can, but it can't take as much force as all out muscle strengthening. So
Right.
muscle strengthening is going to be last.
Gotcha.
Essentially,
Yeah.
muscles get lots of blood supply, and
Yes.
tendons get a fraction of the blood supply that
Hmm.
muscles get, and cartilage doesn't get very much. So you have to start with the tissues, the areas of your knee and your leg that get the least amount of blood supply, and build from there. And when people do that, they usually can avoid a knee replacement
Avoid
altogether.
it completely. Yeah. No, that's what I was looking for out of you. I realize that, very often the people that are advising you to get a knee replacement are people who are in the business of doing knee replacement. So certainly my personal advice would be, hey, you want to do whatever you can to get healthy knees before that's the last option, right? And that's not but I think it's so common now that I feel like it's being thrown out as just, hey, yeah, you can do this, or, this is in your future, get ready for it. When it's time, we'll just prescribe it, we'll have it done, and you'll have this rehab. And yeah, all right. Well, in terms of folks out there that are really looking to up their, so now we're moving up from, hey, the guy I played with today, who's actually a decent player, but just has shitty mobility. He can't squat. We've got a prescription now for that guy, maybe not knowing his full situation, but some ideas there for people that are in that camp. What about the person who's got, knock on wood, they got great healthy knees, and they're trying to really take the next level. So maybe they are trying to be, maybe they're close to a 5-0 player, and they're thinking, hey, I'm going to get in this, I'm going to join a traveling team, and I'm going to start playing tournaments every week. So now I've got these, this heavy demand on my knees for these very explosive lateral movements, things like that. Is there something that person would do for care and feeding of their knees, him or her, versus the more recreational people like, you and I playing?
Sure, sure. So they're going to be able to do motion that puts a little bit more force through their knees, but maybe they're jumping on a stationary bike or an outdoor bike and going for a ride for 20 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, just again, so you're back to that. I mean, that sounds to me more like restorative. So that's your prescription there. Now, is there any reason why somebody playing at a higher level wouldn't want, I mean, we're going to assume they have healthy knees, wouldn't want to develop a little more fast twitch muscle? So they're doing things like, I'm imagining, of course, weighted squats, probably lateral lunges, reverse lunges, weighted under load. They're
Maybe some
probably doing
plyometrics.
so, and I was thinking, yeah, box jumps, things like that. So there's no reason we wouldn't want to take that person and use that kind of a prescription. And now the assumption being that, hey, we have the healthy fluid, we have the healthy cartilage, that foundation that you talked about. Now we have these strong tendons attaching muscle to bone. So that's our first story of our house. Now let's go ahead and build the musculature in the lower body. No reason we couldn't go full ham there. Is that right? For healthy
Absolutely.
knees.
Yeah, yeah.
Love
It's
it.
not something I ever cross off the list as, oh, you shouldn't do that, right?
All
You
right.
just need
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
strength and resilience in the areas of your leg to withstand those forces. And also recognize that if you're building that program and advancing it, periodically you'll need some recovery. You may
Right.
need 3 to 5
100%.
days where you hold off on the jumping, you hold off on the explosive movements, and you kind of do a little bit more of those quad set gentle
Hmm.
motion.
Go back to the restorative, yeah, maintenance, and that's a lifelong pursuit, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because that's something I'll often tell people: if you want permanent change, you have to change permanently, and that turns, and that's usually said in the in the context of weight loss, right? Okay, well, okay, Mrs. Smith, you want to lose 20 pounds? Yeah, no worries.
And
If you want to
sometimes
keep
that's
it
really
up,
challenging for people, right? Because
it's
they're
such a
like,
challenging
well,
concept. It's almost like that. Well, wait, I just want to diet for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I don't what for the rest of my life. And so, what you're saying for healthy knees would be the kind of the same thing, right? If I want healthy knees into my 90s, I should have some sort of daily practice that honors that. Is that fair?
that's fair with one kind of addition. I think it can be if someone goes into this, they're like, wait, I'm gonna have to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
That
right.
can feel really like maybe I'm
Overwhelming.
not gonna start because that just
Yeah.
sounds like too big of anything I have to do for the rest of my life feels like too big of a commitment. And
Hmm.
really the commitment will change.
Yeah.
So if someone comes to me and they have really painful, stiff, achy knees, their daily commitment might be these really gentle movements for 3 to 5 minutes, 5 or 6 times a day, plus some quad sets, five or six times a day. That takes a lot of. It's nothing that makes them sweat, but it
Right.
takes a lot of commitment and a new habit, which takes time and energy.
Yes, it
And they're
does.
very motivated to do that. And the thing is I'm not always able to predict how long will you need to maintain that level of commitment, but for most people, that commitment is going to change over time. And so the requirement, the volume will be able to drop the frequency
Right.
of
Right.
of those exercises, and that kind of happens, I think, organically. Like people
Hmm.
don't have the reminder of their knees bothering them, so they start to accidentally maybe wean off of some of those exercises. But then when they always have those kind of what I say in their tool
In their
chest, right?
toolkit, yeah, they have that in their toolkit.
And they can
100%.
bring
Yeah.
them out and
Yeah.
do more of them as
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah, no, I love that. So and I'll often tell, again, going back to the kind of the weight loss model, I'll tell people, look, the hard part is is the journey to just initially get started and get that inertia and get that, being able to refill that motivation bucket by the results, which make you feel better, you're starting to look better, starting to feel better, starting to move better. That kind of keeps you going. But once you get to whatever your goal is, let's say your goal weight in this case, maintaining that's way easier than getting there in the first place. You've just kind of your metabolism is probably a wreck, and we got to address that. And you've probably got some poor habits that aren't serving you very well. We got to address those. And all of those will take small steps at a time. And it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of effort, that does take motivation and willpower and grit and determination, all that stuff. But once you're there, maintaining it is a lot less effort. So I think the same thing would be true, right? So if I've
Yes.
got, like my buddy on the court today, he's got these creaky knees. Let's say he really invests and starts to work on this. A year later, he's got fabulous knees. Probably not even thinking about it, but his maintenance is much, much less than that year-long work he took to get there, perhaps, right?
Yes, definitely. And I think
Yeah.
we see this in all areas of our body, right?
Sure.
You use
Yeah.
the weight loss. I've recently talked to people about, you brush and floss your teeth every day, twice a day, right?
Yeah.
And that's just maintenance because you want your teeth to stay healthy and strong. You don't want to replace your teeth necessarily,
Right.
right? So the same
Right.
thing with your knees is like once your knees are kind of in a place where you're happy with the level of health and strength that they have, it's a matter the maintenance of that is going to be a lot less of a daily investment.
I love it. All right. So let's kind of wrap it up right here. I think that's a good note to end on. So before I'm going to give you a chance here to tell people where to go to find more out about you. But before I do that, I want to let you guys know, listeners out here, that my big recommendation for you right now is take all the advice that Laurie just gave you, put it into practice wherever you are in that spectrum of I got janky knees to my knees feel pretty good, Kev. Somewhere in there, right? Let's get a knee maintenance plan. But my advice to you is this: get on Laurie's email list. She has fire emails. I've been on her list since she was my guest, like I said, about a year ago, and they are fabulous. She doesn't hold anything back. There is tons of great content in there. So that's my plug. It's Laurie, is it betterknees.com? Is that where they go?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so hit us. Tell us if somebody's out here listening to this saying, hey, I could use a little accountability. I could use some support. I could use a roadmap to help me with my knees and specifically to up my pickleball game. How can they get in touch with you? How can they find out more about you? How can they work with you?
Sure. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I just want to start with some knee maintenance, I have a guide. It's free. And when you sign up for that, you'll also get the weekly email insights. So you can go to enjoystrongerknees.com, and there's a chart to kind of keep track of things and very easy entry level ways to help your knees if your knees hurt or if you just don't want your knees to hurt. So that would be one way. My website is betterknees.com. And if someone is like, this is interesting, I want more about the science behind this, I want to know more. Why is my doctor not telling me about this? Why, that type of thing. If they want to know more about the Better Knees method, there'll be a pop-up that comes up if you go to my website, or you can go directly to signing up for a 23-minute video where I explain all about it. And that's betterknees.com/method. And I'll tell you all about that. There's like a 9-point self-assessment for your knees involved with that. It's a great resource.
Fantastic. All right, folks, I will put that all in the show notes there. And then, Laurie, just to clarify, if somebody is not in Austin, Texas, and would like to work with you as a practitioner or advisor, do you do remote telemedicine? Do that?
I work with clients all over the world. So some of my clients right now are in New Zealand, Australia, the UK, around the world. Probably 90% of my clients do not live in Austin, Texas. Right. And if someone's interested in possibly working together, I offer a 20-minute session just to kind of get to know them and their situation to make sure that it's a good fit. That's called a strategy session, and they can find a link to that on my website.
Fantastic. All right, folks, we're going to leave it there. I strongly recommend go check out that free guide that Laurie mentioned. That was enjoystrongerknees.com. I'll throw that into the show notes, of course, with all the other links that she just mentioned. Laurie, I want to thank you so much for the work you do and for taking the time to come on the show and talk to us today to help us improve our pickle game by having bulletproof knees.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Okay, folks, that's a wrap for today's episode of the Pickle Fit Podcast. I hope you're feeling fired up to hit the court stronger and smarter. If you've enjoyed this show, please don't forget to subscribe, please leave a review, and please share this episode with your fellow pickleballers. Let's grow this community of fit, fierce, and injury-free players. Until next time, stay strong, stay mobile, and keep crushing it out there. I'll see you on the court.